I can physically feel the excitement here in my body. I made a lot of mistakes, but I didn't go back and correct them. But this I had to think by myself. There is no instruction on how to do that in the pattern. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here to talk about all things knitting, my finished objects, my works in progress and my acquisitions. I am so excited today to tell you that my first finished object, garment-wise, is on me right now, which is the Inge Sweater by Lene Holme Samsoe, also known as Leknit on Instagram. I am curious, what is your first finished object of 2025? Please tell me, I really want to know. Garment-wise or other. My first finished object of the year was my Sophie hood. But garment-wise, this is my first finished object. So this is it's not a turtleneck in the pattern, but I made it somehow. It was not intentional. And it has some short rows in the back, and it also has some raglan increases as well. And this is an all-over color work. Actually, this is my first all-over color work garment. I just made a colorwork sweater, which was the Oslo Sweater. That was my first color work garment, and then I knitted if you can see right in the back, I knitted a glow, which was really big, so I didn't knit the second one. And then this is the first all-over colorwork garment that I made in my entire knitting life, which is not too long. So I used Rowan Alpaca Soft Decay to knit this sweater. Rowan Alpaca Soft Decay is one of my favorite yarns of all time, and it's really, really suitable for color work because it knits up it's like butter. But when you block it, the stitches just blend in so nicely and they stick in together. So very, very recommended for color work. There's something that I don't very much like about this sweater is that the creases under the sleeves, they don't align with the pattern design. So yeah, it's under the sleeve, it doesn't show off that much, but there's that, you know. And the undersleeve section where you divide for the sleeves, it's kind of low. I wish it were kind of higher, like here. But the colors and the pattern design, it's gorgeous. I am loving this sweater, and whenever I wear this, and I've worn this like 3 or 4 times since I finished it, people they can't believe that I knitted this by myself. And they think that the pattern design is the work of the yarn itself. And I say, no, it's me, all me. I made all the designs using separate 3 colors. So, yeah, this is a very, very impressive sweater. People love this sweater when they see it, and I love that sweater too. And I'm so proud of myself to have knitted such a beautiful all-over colorwork sweater. I knitted this in size 3 with the recommended needle sizes, which are a lot, like not 2, not 3, I think 4. There are 4 different needle sizes in the pattern, starting with, I guess, 2.5, and then 3, and then 3.5. Yeah, I guess there are like 4 different needle sizes in the pattern. If you're a beginner colorwork knitter, I don't think that I would recommend this as your first all-over colorwork, although it was my first all-over colorwork sweater, because like when you're adding stitches under the sleeves, the pattern tells you to cast on that many stitches and then just knit all of them according to the pattern. It was kind of fiddly for me, but I think it's because I was not familiar enough with the pattern when I was knitting the sleeves, because before I finished the body, I knitted the sleeves because I was really scared that I was running out of yarn. So I panicked ordered, but the yarn measurements that the pattern suggested turned out to be exactly correct. So I have a couple of extra balls now that I would use for like something else. So I knitted the sleeves before I finished the body. So what I was doing for the yoke of the sweater is that I was like constantly increasing stitches, and when I got to the sleeve section where you separate for the sleeves, I wasn't exactly familiar with the pattern, so it was hard for me to try to understand the pattern design for the sleeves that were cast on under the sleeves and to align them into the pattern. But I wasn't aware of it at the time. I only realized that the pattern was really easy to memorize when I started to knit the body in the round without any increases or decreases. So if you're to knit this pattern, to knit the sweater, I would highly recommend that you knit the body first, just to get to know the pattern design a little bit more before you just go and add the sleeves and then do the decreases on the sleeves. So that's my recommendation for the sweater. And the pattern is really easy to follow. The designer has separate charts for the front and back and for the sleeve section, so it's really easy to follow. So that is the Inge Sweater by Leknit, and that's my only finished object. So let's move on to whips now. So let's go on with the color work. I have another all-over color work in progress right now, and I am so excited about it because I will be sticking for the first time. That is Gertrude by Susan Crawford. So it has a very beautiful colorwork design in the front, and in the back there's just one by one colorwork. Yeah, like this. I am using woven felted wheat for the whole project, but for 2 colors I have this woven Valley tweed, and this is Majo tweed. I had these in my stash, so I am using these for the brown sections. And I don't know how this vest would turn out to be, because I cannot try it on. Not only because it's knitted bottom up, but also because there would be sticks here. These are the underarm sticks, and that is the stick section for the neckband. So it's a shame that I cannot try it on, because my gauge is a lot different than the pattern suggests. Susan Crawford has her own brand of yarn, but I cannot order them because of the restrictions to order from abroad in Turkey. So I bought some raw felted tweed and I made my swatch. And if you can see, yes, here in this section I made a lot of mistakes, but I didn't go back and correct them because it was just a swatch and I knew exactly where to be more careful while I am knitting the actual garment. Even so, I made a mistake like on exactly the same pattern repeat here. I don't know if you can see it, but here there is one extra stitch in the beige color. It shouldn't be here, so I will just duplicate stitch it sometime. So I am very excited about this pattern, about this vest. As this would be my first time stitching project, I am vlogging the whole process, so let's say yay. Yeah, and my gauge is a lot different than the original pattern. So what I did was I took my gauge swatch and took the measurements of my stitch gauge in 1 centimeter, and then I calculated how many stitches I needed for my bust circumference, and I chose the closest stitch number in the pattern that is suitable for my gauge. So I don't know how it would end up until I just fully finish everything and try it on afterwards. The pattern has a seed stitch section here at the bottom, and it would have seed stitch for the sleeve, and it would have the same seed stitch for the sleeves and for the neckband. I knitted this seed stitch section on 2.5 millimeter needles, and I am knitting the pattern design on 3 millimeter needles, just 2.5. Even so, the hem looks a little bit like larger than it should be. I don't know, because the seed stitch is like looser than stockinette, and that's colorwork, so it's even more tighter. My next whip is the Oslo Sweater by Petiteknit, which is an all-over stockinette, drop shoulder, European construction, where you start casting on for the back and make some increases and pick up for the fronts. I am knitting the second sides in the pattern, but while I was collecting stitches for the neckband, I ended up knitting 4 less stitches than the smallest pattern, so I have a lot less stitches than my actual size recommends. So it's kind of, there's kind of puckering here and here. I think it's because of the amount of stitches that I collected. If after blocking it doesn't block out and smooth out, I think I would just rip out the double knit rib section of the neckband and then recollect my stitches according to the suggested number of stitches for my size, and then reknit the collar. So there are some decreases here on the body, like it's not many, like there are 3 rounds of decreases only, but there are some decreases. So I don't know how it affects the shape of the finished garment, but yeah, there are some decreases on the body after you connect the fronts and the back. So let me put this on. So as you can see, I finished knitting the body with 1x1 rib hem, and I am knitting the sleeves with the decreases right now. Yeah, here there is some puckering, cinching in. I am using Essiger Alpaca 2 and Rowan Cashmere Haze. Which is 40% alpaca, 30% cashmere, and 30% silk. This is a very, very good yarn, and I am loving this combo together. I think this might be my most expensive garment so far. I'm not sure. My Inge Sweater could also be the one. Yeah. I'm knitting this on 4.5mm needles US 7. And yeah, that is the Oslo Sweater by Petiteknit. My next whip is the Daydreamer Cardigan by Kika. This is an all-over half fisherman's rib cardigan with double knitted bottom band and fold over half twisted 1x1 rib neckband. It's a raglan construction, and it has this thick raglan lines, which I absolutely love because it's the perfect dupe for Sezane's Emile cardigan, which I am so in love with. So when I first saw this cardigan. I was so excited because I love the Emile cardigan by Sezane, and then I bought it just as it came out. But I have some things to talk about the pattern. So let me take this off and then we'll talk about it. So I knitted a number of Kutuvikika patterns, and I love her pattern writing style because she tries to make it as simple as possible. But for this design, I think it's also to make the pattern simpler or easier for the knitters. But for the double knitted bottom band, there are some instructions to knit the bottom band, but she has designed it mainly for snap buttons. So if you like to use actual buttons, and if you like to knit a button band with buttonholes, she has instructions for the buttonholes, but she doesn't have instructions for how to align the buttonholes. That's an issue because you knit the neckband after you knit the double knitted bottom band. So at first I aligned my last buttonhole here at the top because I wasn't aware that I would have another buttonhole here at the neckband. So after I knitted my first buttonhole and knitted a couple of more rows, I wanted to recheck the button band and the neckband. When I opened up and examined the sample knitted sample photos, I realized that there was another snap button here on the neckband. So I realized that I had to realign my buttonholes because the last buttonhole would be here on the neckband. And then I remeasured and realigned my button bands. So I knitted the two button bands separately, and then I started to knit the neckband. But because I was knitting the buttonholes, now I had to make another buttonhole in the neckband, and there is no instruction on how to do that in the pattern. So I had to think and do some math on how to do that. So after my last buttonhole here, the pattern says that the neckband would be 10 centimeters and folded in half, so it would be 5 centimeters in width. So what I did was I knitted for 2.5 centimeters here, and then made a hole with a yarn over, and then knitted for 5 centimeters more. So when the piece measured 7.5 centimeters, I made another hole with a yarn over, and then knitted the last 2.5 centimeter piece again. So when I folded this in half, this 2.5 hole and this 7.5 hole, 2.5 centimeter hole and 7.5 centimeter hole aligned here perfectly. But this I had to think by myself. There is no instruction on how to do that in the pattern. And the pattern gives you instructions for how to make the buttonholes by cutting the yarn. So I again followed the instructions by Florence Miller without breaking the yarn. So I'll just link that down below if you would like to check that out, and I highly recommend that. I also used that instruction for the double knitted bottom band for my book club cardigan. So yeah, this is the second time I have made a double knitted bottom band with buttonholes. So yeah, that is the Daydreamer Cardigan by Kotova Kika or Veronica Lindberg. When you're knitting half fisherman's rib flat, you just knit one row and knit the half fisherman rib pattern in the second row. So it's a 2-row repeat. But when you're knitting it in the round, you have to, you need to purl all the stitches while you just knit all the row when you're knitting flat. So it's a lot of purls here in the sleeves, and it's not a quick knit because 2 rows equals 1 row here, like seam like 1 row, because basically you're knitting 1 row and then you're knitting 1 row below, so you're working the row below again, so it's not a quick knit. But it looks so squishy, and I love the Emile cardigan, so I want this, really, I want this cardigan. And the yarns I am using is Gazal Alpaca Air, which is like drops air, and Gazal Super Kid Mohair, which is not silk, but 22% polyamide, 31% superwash, and 47% super kid mohair. So yeah, this is the Daydreamer Cardigan by Kotova Kika. And my last whip is something that I'm very excited about. Like, I can physically feel the excitement here in my body. I'm really excited because I am making my own drop shoulder design for the measurements that I like. I have been taking classes to knit a drop shoulder, a satin sleeve, a round yoke, and I'll take raglan classes very soon. So I would be able to do anything for my size with my measurements, with my calculations, like anything that I like with the yarns that I have in my hand. So this is very, very satisfying and very exciting. So I just started my first drop shoulder design for my size. So I started casting on for the back, and then made some increases here for the back, and then knitted a couple of rows, and then made some more increases for the undersleeve section. So I would just put them, put those stitches on hold and pick up stitches here for the fronts and knit the fronts and join everything in the round. So it will be a very plain stockinette drop shoulder, 25 centimeter positive ease stockinette sweater. I am knitting this on 5mm needles, use 8. Yes, and I am using a filled blue-faced Leicester. With Rowan Kid Silk Haze. And that is my last whip that I am very, very excited about. I think that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching. Please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time.